Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. When I say the name Hekate, what pops into your head? Probably something dark, right? A shadowy figure, witchcraft, the underworld, that whole vibe. But what if I told you there's a completely different side to her story? That's what we're doing today. We're pulling back the curtain on one of the most complex and honestly most misunderstood goddesses out there. Yeah, check out this quote. This is from a pretty well-known mythology encyclopedia from the 70s. Very ancient, very cruel, a torturer of ghosts, patroness of witch covens. Yikes. I mean, this is the Hecate a lot of us probably recognize, right? The ultimate queen of witches. It's a really powerful image, and let's be honest, it's kind of terrifying. But it's not the whole story, not even close.
So if you were to write up her resume based on popular culture, it'd be pretty straightforward, wouldn't it? Goddess of, let's see, witchcraft and sorcery, poisonous herbs like hemlock and nightshade, ghosts, the underworld, crossroads in the dead of night. And of course, she's almost always pictured as the classic crone, that mysterious, spooky old woman with all the dark magic. Okay, but here's the twist. This is where things get really interesting. What if that same queen of the witches was also known as the mother of all souls, a supreme life-giving goddess? I know, it sounds like two totally different characters, right? But believe it or not, both of these ideas existed at the same time in the ancient world. And figuring out how that's possible, well, that's our mission today. All right, so to unravel this, we've got to go back. I mean, way back. Because before she was ever associated with witches, her earliest literary appearances paint a very different picture. Hecate was seen as a powerful, even kind, protector. It's a side of her that's basically been lost to time. Just take a look at this timeline. Back in the 7th century BCE in Hesiod's Theogony, she's this incredible titan who Zeus himself honors above all others. She had power over the earth, sea, and sky, and she'd grant people blessings. Then, a bit later, in the Homeric hymn to Demeter, she's the one who compassionately lights the way for Persephone to return from the underworld. It's not until you get to the 5th century BCE and later that things start to shift. That's when Greek playwrights and Roman writers really start to connect her with sorcery, ghosts, and all the spooky stuff. And get this, the way she was shown in art was totally different too. That whole old crone image we have, that's a much, much later invention. Early Greek art doesn't show an old woman. Nope, it shows a young maiden, usually in a long robe, holding her signature twin torches. The crone idea was tacked on way down the line. So this is where her story really splits into two different paths. On one path, you've got the Hecate of the magicians. This is the chthonic goddess. That's a Greek word meaning she's connected to the underworld. She's tied to ghosts, and she's a figure people were pretty scared of. But then, there's this other path, a completely different version. This is the Hecate of the Theurgists. And she's not from the underworld. She's super celestial, literally above the heavens. She's seen as the source of all souls and a figure of salvation. Two polar opposites. So where did this second super celestial Hecate come from? Well, she appears in this incredible set of mystical texts from the late Roman Empire called the Chaldean Oracles. And in the oracles, Hecate isn't just another goddess on the roster. Oh no, she's elevated to this supreme cosmic force, like a fundamental pillar of reality itself. These oracles were basically the instruction manual for a practice called theurgy. Theurgy, it's kind of like a mix of high-level philosophy and ritual magic. The whole point was to purify your soul so you could achieve union with the divine, with God. And who was absolutely central to this whole process? You guessed it, Hecate. Okay, this is where my mind was blown. Look at where they placed her in their model of the universe. It's a divine trinity. Think of it like a cosmic sandwich. At the very top, you have the Father, this unknowable, transcendent source of, well, everything. Then, at the very bottom, you have the demiurge. He's the cosmic craftsman who actually builds the physical world. But who's in the middle, connecting them? Hecate. She is the power, the cosmic womb. She takes the pure ideas from the Father and gives them life, so the demiurge has something to build with. Without her, there's no creation. And this quote from a scholar just hits the nail on the head. In this system, Hecate wasn't just the world's soul. She was the source of the world's soul. She was the fountain from which all life, every single soul, actually emerged. I mean, you can't get much more fundamental than that. She was literally the source of everything.
Okay, so let's pause. We have the terrifying queen of witches on one side and the cosmic mother of all souls on the other. How can they possibly be the same goddess? Well, what if that contradiction isn't a bug, but a feature? What if it points to her true identity? The answer is that Hecate, at her core, has always been a goddess of transitions, of boundaries, of all those spaces in between. And that's the key to understanding everything. Let's just fire off a few of her ancient titles. You'll see what I mean. First up, Kleidokos, the key holder. She stands at the gates, she holds the keys. She controls who gets in and who gets out. Then there's Phosphoros, the light bringer, with her torches. She's the one who lights up the dark paths and shows you what's been hidden. And how about Sotera, the savior? This one is huge in that philosophical tradition we talked about. She's the one who saves your soul, guiding it across that final boundary from the physical world back to the divine. And finally, Enodia, of the way, which brings us right back to where we started, her most famous role, the goddess of the Crossroads, the ultimate symbol of being in between, of making a choice. So, key holder, light bringer, savior, goddess of the way. What does any of this mean for us right now? Well, it turns out this ancient goddess of boundaries is more relevant than ever. Her old titles are being reborn as really powerful modern archetypes. Let's take a look. This table is just a perfect example. It's from a modern role-playing game. And look at the connections. Her ancient title Kleidokos, the key holder, becomes a character archetype called the Key, some kind of supernatural deal-maker who controls who gets access to what. Or Phosphoros, the light bringer, becomes the Torch, a character who uncovers hidden secrets and forgotten histories. Even her role as a guardian of the threshold gets a modern twist as the Dog, a fierce protector of some sacred space. It's the same core idea, just in a new package. So when you boil it all down, it comes to this one word, liminality. That's her superpower. It's all about being in those in-between spaces. Hecate is the ultimate boundary crosser. She moves between the mortal and the divine, between the living and the dead, between what we know and what we don't. And that is why she can be both terrifying and comforting, a source of fear and a figure of salvation. She contains both darkness and light. And maybe that's why she stuck around for so long, because she reflects the contradictions we all have inside ourselves. So think about that journey from a revered titan to a feared queen of witches, from the cosmic mother of all souls to an archetype in a modern game. For 3,000 years, she has been constantly changing, constantly adapting. So the real question isn't just, who was Hecate? The real question is, who is she going to be next?